The room at 432 Abercorn. It started with an invitation. In the fall of 2021, Elena Ross, a freelance photographer from Asheville, North Carolina, received an email from a historical preservation group in Savannah. They were curating a photo book on the haunted architecture of the city and wanted her to shoot several locations, including one that immediately stuck out, 432 Abercorn Street. She'd never heard of it. A quick search turned up a few urban legends and blog posts, but the address had no official tour, no plaques, and no lights on. All she saw were dim photos of a worn-out 3-story brick house choked with vines, its windows like hollow eyes. The job paid $2,500 for one weekend of work, too good to pass up. Elena arrived on a gray Friday afternoon in mid-October. The air in Savannah was thick, humid, still, and oddly silent. Locals were warm and talkative, but the moment she mentioned 432 Abercorn, the tone changed. Faces tightened. People stuttered and quickly changed the subject. She arrived at the house around 5 p.m. It was worse in person. The structure loomed behind a rusted wrought iron gate. The paint was gone, brick cracked like bone, and the trees around it grew inward toward the house as if they were trying to contain it. There was no welcome sign, no lights, no mail, just a single key under the doormat, exactly where the preservation group had promised. Inside, the air smelled of mildew and decay. Dust hung in shafts of light like smoke. Old furniture covered in sheets filled the parlor room. A single grand staircase rose into the darkness above. She set up her gear, lit a few candles, and started snapping wide-angle shots of the main rooms. At 7:16 p.m., her camera glitched for the first time. Then came the footsteps upstairs. Slow, deliberate, heel toe. Elena froze. She called out. She gathered her things and bolted back to her Airbnb. The next morning, unable to shake what she'd heard, Elena went digging. She found an old woman selling antiques in a shop near Lafayette Square who, after some hesitation, finally spilled the history. The house at 432 Abercorn was once the home of Major William J., a Confederate officer who moved into the property with his wife and young daughter shortly after the Civil War. Rumors swirled of cruel discipline and obsession. Jay was said to be strict, even paranoid, particularly about his daughter's education and behavior. One summer, the girl befriended a group of children from a nearby church school and began sneaking out to play with them in the garden. When Jay discovered it, he flew into a rage. As punishment, he chained her to a chair in the front room, in view of the large window facing Abercorn Street. She stayed there for weeks, forbidden to leave, barely fed until, as the story goes, she was found dead one morning by the maid. Starved, sunken eyes, still upright in the chair. After that, something shifted. Jay's wife went mad and was committed. Jay himself disappeared not long after. Some say suicide. Others say the house swallowed him whole. No bodies were ever found. Since then, tenants who've stayed in the house report horrific visions. A girl in a white dress staring from the window, scraping sounds inside the walls, and most notably phantom footsteps on the upper floors. No one stayed long. Against her better judgment, Elena returned that night. This time she brought a voice recorder. Her goal was to finish the photo set and leave. She refused to stay past midnight. The house greeted her with oppressive silence. She moved room to room, snapping photos, checking levels. Nothing out of the ordinary until she reached the front parlor. She took a shot of the antique wooden chair, dusty, ornate, oddly familiar. Then, through the viewfinder, someone was sitting in it. She yanked the camera away. The chair was empty. Flash again. The girl was there. Pale, rigid, long brown hair, hollow eyes staring straight ahead. When Elena checked the file, nothing but black. Not static this time, just void. She ran. But as she neared the front door, she heard it again. Footsteps, on the stairs, coming down. She turned to look. There was a figure. Not a girl this time. A man tall, thin, wearing what looked like a faded Confederate officer's coat. His head was bowed. His hands were shaking. Then his neck snapped up to face her. His mouth opened. "You shouldn't have come." The front door slammed shut behind her. Panicking, Elena ran back into the house. No signal. Her phone screen flickered and died. She tried to open a window nailed shut. Every light she'd turned on was now off. She crept upstairs. The steps groaned under her weight. At the top was a long hallway with doors on either side. The air grew cold, freezing, like walking into a freezer. She opened the first door, a nursery, toys scattered on the floor, a cradle slowly rocking. Second door, an empty room with dark stains on the floorboards, a broken mirror. Third door, the girl, sitting on the floor sobbing. She looked up, tears streaming down her cheeks, or was it blood, and whispered, "I can't leave, he won't let me." From the darkness behind her, two red eyes blinked open. Elena ran down the stairs toward the parlor. But the house seemed to twist. Hallways where there weren't any before. Doorways that led to brick walls. Then she heard the chains. Clink, clink. She turned and saw the chair, back in the center of the room, with rusted chains on its arms. Her feet moved without thinking. She sat. The chains snapped shut. Her camera fell to the floor, still recording. In her last seconds of freedom, the voice recorder picked up her whisper. Please let me go." A second voice responded, hoarse, guttural, male. "Now you'll learn to be quiet." The next morning, the Historical Preservation Group received her camera in the mail. No note, no return address. The SD card was inside. Photos intact. Every room was captured, except the parlor. Every image of that room was completely black, except one, at the very end of the roll. It showed the chair, and Elena sitting in it, eyes vacant, mouth open in a silent scream. Behind her, a man in gray stood with his hand on her shoulder. 432. Abercorn still stands, still uninhabited, still avoided. Sometimes, especially in October, passers-by say they see a woman in the window trying to wave. But her arms don't move, just her head, staring, waiting for someone else to come take her place.